of course, the jockeying's underway, but we do know the gatekeeper is going to be in all of this. The Chief of Staff has been announced as Susie Wiles, Trump has named his campaign manager, Susie Wiles, as the White House Chief of Staff. She'll become the first woman to fill the roles. Apparently, she's been assured she'll get control of who gets access to the Oval Office. She's reportedly said, as we told you last night, she's not letting the clown car into the White House. Edward Luce is the U.S. national editor at the Financial Times. Good to see you, Edward, as always, sir. Great admirer of your writing. So what do you think? Let's not speculate on what policies and all that. That'll happen. Just let's look at the transition and how you think that's going to go.
Well, the Maga court, as some have already dubbed it, is very different this time round to what it was last time round. And Don Jr. is playing a very big role. Obviously, Elon Musk, the new star is born, as Trump dubbed him, is playing a big role. Howard Lutnick is in charge of part of the transition, the chief executive of Cantor Fitzgerald. There are very different characters involved this time. They tend to be believers. Last time, of course, Trump was kind of the dog that caught the car. He really didn't expect to win. This time he's been planning his administration for years and he's got loyalists around him. Right. But there are all kinds of, quite florid characters, as you would expect in Palm Beach.
Are we going to see the Bannons and the Millers and if you like, the ideologues coming on board? Because they were the ones in many ways that created the confusion. They were the ones who were setting up separate, if I read the books ex post, they were the ones who were setting up, if you read McMaster's book, the separate courts, if you will.
They were. I mean, I suspect they won't. I doubt Steve Bannon will get an administration role, and he's been saying he's not going to. But they would say the reason why they set up separate courts is that because you had these traditional country club Republicans blocking Trump's instincts or muffling what he wanted to do. And therefore, you wouldn't need an alternative court system now because Trump's going to have the real thing. He's going to have the real people. People like... We'll see in the next few days, but people like Rick Grenell as his Secretary of State. Rick Grenell was his ambassador to Germany last time round and was kind of persona non grata with Angela Merkel's government. He really, really made himself unpopular. He's a hardliner. If he's appointed Secretary of State, I think we'll get a very clear indication of whether I'm right, that the Trump administration is going to be a MAGA administration this time. Another is Kash Patel, again, a very, very hardline Trumpian as director of the CIA. These kinds of appointments, I think we're going to be seeing in the next few days. And just one point can I make about Robert Lighthizer? My two colleagues whose bylines are on that story. I mean, I wasn't involved in the story. These are very, very solid reporters with multiple sources. So I would trust their story.
All right. I wonder, Donald Trump per se, I mean, how likely are we going to see a way of governing that is similar in a sense, and I'm not talking about policies implemented, I'm talking about the methodology of, say, for example, Reagan. And I raise this because Reagan famously knew the direction he wanted to go, but he wasn't going to be bothered about the minutiae of how he got there. Now, later in the second term, that fell apart with Reagan and Don Regan and all of that, and Baker. But at the beginning, he set the course and he let others get on with what he had set was his policy. Is that likely here?
Yeah, Trump likes his underlings. He likes people disagreeing with each other. It's just an instinctual Trump way of operating. He did that with his businesses. It gives him full control when the people around him are at each other's throats. He likes that. He considers that to be a managerial virtue. And so I expect that will be very similar to the first administration, which was the leakiest, from a journalistic point of view, administration in history. A bit of a field day for our profession. But he's the guy who believes in the art of the deal. So there's a lot of ideological stuff here and a lot of ideological beliefs. But the core of Trump's sort of self-image is I'm the one who gets a deal. So if Xi Jinping telephoned him from China next week and said, I'll give you $3-4 trillion of trade commitments in exchange for you calling off the 60% tariff, that's the kind of thing Trump would go for.
Thank you, sir. I'm grateful. We'll talk more. Very kind of you. Thank you.